several movies out there like this where there's a junkie, right? And you think at a certain point of the movie that he has hit rock bottom. You're like, oh yeah, he's stealing shit from his sister. This is as low as it goes. And then, 15 minutes later in the movie, you're like, oh, this is rock bottom. Right? That's literally how I felt about the Blue Jays after Monday in Boston. I was like, this is the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
This is as low as this team goes. It's all uphill from here. Enter the Yankees in Buffalo, and oh my goodness, man. Tell me that's rock bottom. Tell me this is as low as it goes. Honestly, like, we're both in the same boat here, dude. We watch baseball for escapism,
Yeah.
right? Like, to just take a break from life. Well, I don't particularly know, like, if this is going to continue, if I wish to take a break from life, to go into a deep hole of disappointment and depression, daily, daily.
It's been hard. It's been ugly, man. Like
Oh,
that first inning yesterday.
oh, it just started. All right, first off, before we even get into this, welcome everybody to the walk off. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Scott Belford, joined as always with Adam Mack here. We are going to get into the depressing state that the Blue Jays are currently in. We are going to put a little bit of a positive spin on stuff if we can. Kevin Biggio is having a resurgence. We will get into that. And then, of course, we'll also get into the Major League Baseball sticky stuff situation. Tyler Glasnow, Trevor Bauer have things to say. And we'll go from there. Our guest today, man,
Very
I'm
cool.
so excited to air this interview. So Adam and I actually got to sit down with Canadian legend Stubby Clapp, first base coach for the St. Louis Cardinals currently, on Tuesday, and he opened up about everything to do with baseball, coaching, his career. It was just such a fun talk, and we should get to that in about 30 to 35 minutes
His
once we have a big bitch sesh
his
about the Blue Jays.
I won't spoil it, but his draft day story
Oh my
made us
God,
both
so
literally
funny.
laugh out loud.
Yeah,
So
yeah, a real laugh out loud moment for sure. All right, everybody. As always, our guest is brought to you by YourRate.ca. Darren Brown, the mortgage broker, sure to help you out. He's actually helped my family out several times with their mortgages. My brothers and my dad helped them get into their house, and you can do all of that online. Get things started paperless and effortlessly at YourRate.ca. And of course, if you don't have a brother-in-law or something that's a mortgage broker, it would really help the show if you show a little love. It's really cool that Darren has stepped up and is helping such a small time Blue Jays podcast. It's very appreciated. So if you are looking for a mortgage deal, Darren Brown is the guy to go to. You can follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. And Adam, if you want to like give a little update here on what we're doing on Instagram, because Blue
well,
Jays fans
we
should be excited.
we have mentioned it a few times over the last couple weeks. Running a contest for a free Toronto Blue Jays jersey giveaway. So to enter, my most recent post there on Instagram is a pretty obvious picture of Vlad Guerrero with big bold words that say "free jersey giveaway." All you got to do is
We're not being subtle.
no,
Yeah.
all you got to do is like that post, tag a friend in it, and basically you're entered to win. So
And subscribe on YouTube. So
subscribe on
subscribe,
YouTube.
tag a fellow Blue Jays friend, and like the post. And we will get you any jersey that you would like with a Blue Jays emblem on it, whatever name you want on the back. We're making the draw for that at the All-Star break.
That is the only criteria, is it has to be a Blue Jays jersey. I know we had some Yankees fans join our live stream last night. Uh, they're eligible to win, but we're not going to buy anybody a Yankees jersey. So
Well, this is the perfect transition here, buddy. Let's get into it. Swept by the Yankees. What listen, not just swept. They blew 3 games in the 7th inning or later. First time in Yankee history, the most historic team in Major League Baseball. The first time in Yankee history that they have come back in one series 3 times in the 7th inning or later. It was gross. 10 blowing leads. That's what the Jays are at, man. They have
wow.
blown 10 games in the 7th inning or later. Dude, we're only 67 games into this season.
That's
That is 15%.
one a week.
They're losing 15% of their games
Yeah.
in the 7th inning or later when they have the lead. They lead all of baseball. Like, they lead all of baseball.
Wow. So if all 10 of those
Tell me
games,
this is the bottom.
so all 10 of those games, if we didn't blow, we would be what, 20 games above 500?
Yeah, if they had managed to save half of them,
Mm-hmm.
they're 10 games above 500 and in contention for first place in the division.
Wow.
Like, man, it is disheartening as a fan right now. It is disheartening. And listen, I know all of you, or not all of you, I shouldn't say that. A lot of you are calling for Montoyo's head, and we will get into that a little bit later here. Throw around maybe some other possible manager options, but it's pretty tough to blame Charlie for some of these things.
Yeah.
Like, this bullpen, who do you go to? Like, even yesterday when Castro gave up the home run and kind of blew the lead there in the 7th, Castro is probably who I would have went with there.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of the more consistent guys. He's no stud. He's no guy you wish to see in the 7th inning, especially if you go back 2 months to where he was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you do? Well, we're spiraling here. The Jays ran themselves into a triple play last night in the 1st inning. That was, how do you even describe it, man? Ugly.
A comedy of errors.
Oh, bad base running.
Yeah.
Bad decisions on almost every part. We talked about this just before we hit play. 1, 3, 2, 5, 6 triple play was the scoring on that. First time in Major League history that has been done. Like, we keep breaking all these Major League records we want nothing to do with. Like, these are stats that no team should aspire to have. It is just... And honestly, man, the worst part about being swept by the Yankees and losing in the fashion we did is now we're dealing with Yankee fans who all of a sudden have hope.
Mm-hmm.
They think that their team is so resilient,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was one of the things I was reading in the comments. Oh, this team has heart. They never give up. Oh, do they never give up? Or do they just wind up against a team that is giving away wins?
Yeah.
Like... the Yankees are a good team. I'm not by any means crapping on the Yankees, but give me a break. You're going to act like this is a resilient team because the Blue Jays face planted? All irrelevant. All irrelevant. I'm not going to get worked up about the Yankees fans, but my goodness, it was just like salt in the wound needing to be on social media after that sweep and be like, oh, great. Yankees fans are speaking up now. Fantastic. You know, because they've been quiet most of the season.
Yeah.
Not a lot to cheer about, which is funny because they've still been an above 500 team and a pretty decent team. But, you know, to Yankee standards, they definitely aren't the juggernaut that they thought they would be. Offense has been good for the Jays, I guess, if there's a silver lining. That said, though, honestly, man, they have left a lot of ducks on the pond.
Yeah.
You know, like if you go to Wednesday's game, man, there was a runner at second, runner at third, bottom of the 9th. Down by 1. No outs. And I know that there was some unfortunate events that happened umpire-wise. That foul tip by Lourdes that wasn't a foul tip. It should have been a tie game. Blah, blah, blah. We can go on and on and on about the optics and how things played out. But all of that aside, you just look at the score sheet and see a runner at second, a runner at third, nobody out. How do you not score a run? And this has been an ongoing theme, man. Same thing happened with the triple play yesterday in the 1st inning. Runner on first, runner on second, nobody out. Boom. Like they're giving outs away and to teams that you can't give outs away. Randall Grishik. What an amazing beginning of the season he had. He looked out of this world in April and May. People were talking All-Star game. Well, let me tell you, he is back down to 0, or I shouldn't say back down to 0. He's back down to his career average. Quietly has settled into that back of the baseball card we always talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Randall Grishik's career numbers. He's hit 248, on base percentage 294, slugging 481, 2021 stats. He's hitting 264 On base percentage 293, slugging 469, literally almost identical to his career numbers. The good news is, though, George Springer, 3 rehab games into Buffalo currently. He could be called up at any minute. Teoscar Hernandez is on the paternity list. He's having a kid. So Randall Grishuk got the bump up to the cleanup spot yesterday. And it's possible, there's rumors, of course, in true Blue Jays fashion, the lineup card for tonight is not, probably won't be out until an hour before game time. But there's rumors we might see old George Springer in a Blue Jays uniform tonight. If that doesn't happen, it's your guess is as good as ours. Adam and I were kind of guessing we'll probably go this series against Baltimore without him, and then he'd be in uniform come Monday, and if not Monday, probably Friday. They are going to be cautious with him and slow, but that said, if Springer says, I'm good, I don't wish to waste any more bullets in the minor leagues, I feel great. He's done all the sprinting. He's played center field for a game. He has pushed himself on the base path. He's stolen a base. He's run out a double. You know, like he's done the things he's had to do to prove that he's ready to go. So maybe we do see him today. That would be a little bit of positivity in an otherwise bleak last little bit for us Jays fans.
Yeah. I'm excited for him. I hope it's a long-term thing. I just hope I hope we're done with the setbacks, Scott.
Yes, agreed. And I think that's why they're taking it slow with him. And honestly, man, I don't even really wish to get into the bullpen. It's just going to be a big negative loogie. So I'm not going to, but I did wish to touch on a few of the positives we're seeing in the bullpen.
Okay.
If they're few and far between, but Patrick Murphy was called up, 26-year-old guy with a lot of stuff, a lot of great stuff. Throws the fastball very hard. He's got a great slider. He's got some good secondary pitches. He's a guy who's struggled with his health all along. And he is a guy that I read at the beginning of the year that if he hadn't been injured for so often, he might have even touched the top 100 prospects, according to Baseball America.
Wow.
He just hasn't been able to stay healthy long enough to ever kind of gain that sort of traction. Now, they wanted Patrick Murphy as a starter, but, I mean, the way the bullpen has performed, they're out of options. So Patrick Murphy's in the bullpen. He got a clean inning on Thursday. He looked good, you know. Taylor Saucedo out of Buffalo had his pitching debut last night. Big 6'5" lefty, 2.20 ERA with the Bisons. 3 cleanouts in his first major league appearance, his first major league strikeout. And he's actually going to be on the podcast hopefully next week. I know I messaged him this morning and he was just like, I'm so sorry, man. Like, I just can't commit to anything right now. This has been way more of a whirlwind than I was expecting. And I was just like, buddy,
Yeah,
enjoy it, man. Enjoy the
dream.
ride. Like, don't worry about us.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you're going to do the cast, but hit us up next week. It's fine.
Yeah.
But we are going to have him on the cast, which is cool. Trent Thornton has looked good. You know, like now I'm literally just reaching for positives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the last week, Trent Thornton has been all right. I really don't know what to say that we haven't already said about this bullpen, you know, and I'm kind of at this point right now where you look at what's going on the trade market. I don't think that they're going to make a trade until July. I know there's a lot of fans that are pushing for it. They need to do something. They need to fix this problem. But everybody knows how desperate the Blue Jays are for pitching. And so, of course, their price has gone up on almost everything. And a lot of teams are still somewhat in a race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's still mid-June. A lot of teams haven't already decided where they're headed come September. So they're not quick to just like get rid of guys who are free agents at the end of the year, or maybe they're looking to acquire some assets. That's not where we're at yet.
Yeah, as far
in
as
the game of baseball.
As far as teams that are out of it, just going division by division here, I would say the Orioles are out.
Yeah.
The Tigers and the Twins are out.
Mm-hmm.
The Rangers are out. Man, the Rangers are 18 games below 500. And
3 of those wins are from us.
Yeah. Like, oh, man, that's frustrating. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll get back on topic here. So that's probably it for the AL. In the NL, you got the Pirates are out of it. The Diamondbacks are out of it, and
Mm-hmm.
Colorado's most likely out of it. But they're not going to make any moves at least until the All Star game because
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to want to get rid of Trevor Story until after the All Star game, right?
And a lot of these teams that we just mentioned too would be far better off to just wait until there's a bit more of a
Mm-hmm.
bidding war. Why
Exactly.
just give the Jays what they need when if you wait a month, you're going to have 3 or 4 teams bidding on guys that you want to
Exactly.
get rid of, acquire assets for. And the other thing that really is frustrating right now for me with this bullpen is that the 40-man roster currently with the Blue Jays is so tight.
Mm-hmm.
And this front office, all along their MO, has been asset management. And so they're really hesitant to designate for assignments some of these guys to send them down because it puts them on waivers. And then all the other 29 teams have the option to grab them and try and work something out. And they don't
Mm-hmm.
wish to lose guys. But it's at this point, I'm almost like, we've got to stop wasting our bullets, our opportunities here. Like this team is something special offensively.
Yeah.
Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I know he's 22, but this could be a career year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the thing.
I
He
know.
is doing out of this world stuff. He is literally the number one contender for MVP in the AL currently. And I know there's going to be people that are like, oh, what about Otani? What about a few of the other guys? Yeah, like he's got some competition, but let's be serious. The guy is just not slowing down. Marcus Simeon is having a career year.
With sorry, just with Vladdy, he has a serious shot at the Triple Crown this year,
Yeah,
which is to lead the leading home runs, batting average, and RBIs.
hasn't been done since Miggy did it back in 2011.
In the entire history of the sport, only 10 players have ever done that.
Like, think about how elite that is.
Yeah.
To have a guy on your team at 22 who is even in talks about having winning the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Like it is insane. And so this is what is frustrating me with this bullpen is you look down at the Bisons and man, their bullpen is loaded with guys. So are the Fisher Cats. Right? Like we just talked to James Dykstra. They've got a guy in AAA or in Double A right now with New Hampshire in Dykstra that throws 100 miles an hour and is kicking butt. Brody Rudning, same thing. His numbers are phenomenal with the Fisher Cats right now.
Yeah.
And what's blocking these guys from coming up is they're not on the 40-man roster, and this front office would need to bite the bullet and give some guys up to bring these other guys up.
Yeah.
I want to see it happen at this point. Do something, right? Like it was so great to see Saucedo finally get his major league debut yesterday, but he's been in the bullpen for 5 games. Why was he not given his shot in that 18-4 blowout against the Red Sox? Like you could not have given him a lower leverage situation. Instead, he comes in with a 1-0 or a 1-run lead against the Yankees. He pitched 3 great outs, got his first K, looked really good. I mean, it worked out, but just weird choice,
Yeah.
right? And I want to see Thomas Hatch in this bullpen, and I want to see him in this bullpen yesterday. You know, he's being stretched out as a starter currently in AAA. I don't think the Blue Jays have that option anymore.
No.
I think they're in the same boat as to why they brought up Patrick Murphy. I feel the same way about Nate Pearson, which I don't think they agree with. I think that they're going to keep him in AAA as a starter. We might not see him for the rest of the year. Who knows?
Yeah.
I said I didn't want to talk about the bullpen, and here we are just in a big rant. But you know, like something does have to give. We will move on from this because we're just kind of in this negative tailspin here. On the positive side of things, Springer should be back very shortly. On the positive side of things, our schedule softens up big time. Starting today against the Orioles, we play the Orioles 7 games in the next 12. We play the Mariners 3 games in the next 12, 2 against the Miami Marlins. So there is some ground that can be made up here. There's still
Needs
only
to be made
33
up.
and 34.
Yeah.
Sorry, bud.
No, it needs to be made up. It's a make or break. Like this is a
Yep.
poop or get off the pot kind of 2 week window here for us going into the All-Star break. Um,
Well, we were doing the math a little bit over the live stream. I don't know if you remember exactly the numbers, but what do the Jays need to do?
we need to go like 15-6 between now
15 and
and the
6.
All-Star game.
that gets us to the All-Star game at 8 games above 500 and gives lots of reason for Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins to make some major moves.
So 21 games between now and the All-Star game. 6 of them against the Rays. 15 are against teams that are out of it. Against the Orioles, against the Marlins, against the Mariners, teams like that, right? So,
like in this next 12-game stretch, they really need to win 9 to 10 games.
yeah, because we're probably going to win maybe 1 or 2 against the Rays.
I mean, frick, they better win. Hopefully, their confidence is up once they hit the Rays.
Wouldn't that be
and,
nice?
You know,
And
the
Springer's
bullpen's not.
back. And...
Like, you know what? The truth is, man, the sky is falling right now with this bullpen. But 12 games of if they can just weather it, all of a sudden they're out of it, right? Like, we did talk about this yesterday on the live stream, too, that it is so insane that they were a top 3 bullpen in Major League Baseball in April, and now they are statistically the worst. Not ERA, but just across the board, if you're going with all of the stats, pitching stats, they are ugly.
Yeah.
Anyways, I keep saying we're going to move on, and then I wind up back in this.
Let's talk about Cavan Biggio.
Let's talk about Cavan Biggio. Thank you. Okay, so he has been getting a lot of crap since the beginning of the season about his defensive play at third. His approach at the plate has not been what we are used to seeing out of Cavan Biggio, who is normally very selective and a guy who gets a lot of walks, puts the bat on the ball quite well, will pop one out of the yard every once in a while. We haven't really seen that out of him this year. He went on the IL, what was it, about a month ago?
Yeah.
He strained something in his neck. And I guess this is something that he had been dealing with since spring training. And after 10 days on the IL, he had a few rehab starts in Buffalo, and his numbers have improved drastically since returning from the IL. His plate approach has improved drastically since returning from the IL. And so there's some hope that maybe Cavan Biggio was just injured.
Well, I know that's when we talked to Arash Madani there from Sportsnet, that was his opinion on the matter.
Theory. Well before, and that was a month before Cavan finally went on the IL.
So, who knows? I mean, let's be honest. Right now, his batting average is .230.
Yeah.
The league-wide batting average for all of MLB in 2021 is .232.
So he's average.
He's an average hitter. Like, as much as
with an above average on base percentage.
Yeah. So, like, we can crap on it. Like, it's kind of the same thing with Danny Jansen. It's like 209 looks bad, but it's like it's kind of bad for everyone. Like, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 209 this year is a 240 10 years ago, right? Like,
yeah, it's true.
We did.
And another thing about Biggio, I mean, he was robbed of a home run by Aaron Judge last night. That was just
honestly, that was a game-changing.
It was
play by
absolutely
Aaron Judge.
game-changing.
Because I think the Jays were either tied or up by a run. I feel like we were up by a run. That was before.
Yeah, they were up by 2 runs. It would have made the game, or sorry, you're right. They were up by 1 run. It would have made the game 6-3.
Right.
But.
And then instead, the next inning, the Yankees put up 4.
Yeah.
So.
Just so frustrating. Okay.
One thing I do want to mention, though, with Cavan is, I know we mentioned it last night during the stream, trading for a third baseman, I don't think is a realistic option for us here. We were kind of going down the list of third baseman you could even trade for, like who would be an upgrade. And there isn't really a single third baseman who would be on a... There isn't a third baseman that would be an upgrade who isn't on a good team, like a playoff contender.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that because I know that there's fans out there that are like, why don't we get Chris Bryant?
The Cubs
guess
are
what?
in a
the Cubs
playoff
are
race.
awesome this year.
I know.
They're, if anything, going to be competition for the Jays come the trade deadline for pitching because they need starting pitching and bullpen help as well. So it's actually a bad case, a bad scenario.
I know one guy that gets pointed to quite a bit is Kyle Seager. with the
Mm-hmm.
Mariners there. But when we looked into his stats, like that's not really
He's
that much of an
he's hitting
upgrade, if
208.
anything. Yeah, like
Yeah.
he's hitting 208. Um,
He
hold on,
hits for
what it was?
power, but this team doesn't need more home
Yeah,
runs. They already lead the American League in home runs.
exactly, right? So he's currently hitting 211 with an on base percentage of 699, whereas Kevin Biggio is hitting 230 with an on base percentage of 734. So he's getting on more, less home runs, but like Kyle
Yeah.
Seager's 33
OPS.
years
OPS.
old.
Yeah.
He's not a long term solution to this team, anyways. It's a,
Yeah, you're right. It
yeah,
just would be a move to make a move. I don't think
yeah,
it would like
exactly.
would it move the needle? Would it win them more games?
No.
It's very questionable to say that it would win them more games. On one thing that Biggio has proven is that yeah, his defense hasn't been great at third, but you know what? Neither has Santiago Espinals or Joe Panix. Neither of them have been lights out or
Yeah.
just a closed door at
Just
that position.
just ask Ross Stripling how Panic's defense is.
Perfect.
It's been
Perfect
perfect.
little turn there. What a segue.
All right.
Adam Mack, not the best co-host in the biz for nothing, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ross Stripling. While we're talking about resurgencies, Ross Stripling has been absolutely phenomenal over the last 5 games. His ERA is under 3. He has been putting in the innings, getting 6 to 7 innings. He is hitting over 100 pitches. He's doing everything that this team needs him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can tell that there is frustration boiling up amongst the players as well. This isn't just a fan scenario. Obviously, the players are getting frustrated. I know we saw Ross Stripling do something you just don't do in baseball, which is flip out and blame your fellow teammate for something with an error. And we saw Ross do that with Joe Panic at third. Panic made a errant throw, rushed it with Giancarlo Stanton running down the line there. So he had all the time in the world and rushed it. And Ross had a little flip out, threw his glove, yelled at him. One thing I will say about that is number one, very impressed with Ross Stripling after the game. He was very genuinely apologetic.
Mm-hmm.
This wasn't just saying the right things. You could tell he was truly embarrassed
Mm-hmm.
by himself. He was truly upset that he let his emotions get away from him. He apologized numerous times to Panic. He apologized publicly. He apologized in front of the entire team in the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind seeing a little bit of emotion like that. It's nice to know these guys care and these guys feel that they're better than they are performing. I think you need to see that. I think Stripling maybe found it. Like I don't wish to jump off the deep end, and we just finished going over Randall Grishik's numbers and talking about the back of the baseball card. So I'm well aware of Ross Stripling's career numbers. But is it possible that he can keep this up? Because if he can, oh, what a godsend for this team, because they were in some serious problems with their starting rotation. All of a sudden, what went from the starting rotation being the thing everyone was panicking about and the bullpen being like, okay, well, at least we've got a reliable bullpen.
It's really
Now we're seeing
flipped.
the opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just this rock solid, maybe rock solid is too strong of a word, but a solid starting rotation that just keeps losing games from the bullpen. So,
Yeah.
all right, enough pitching talk. Well, we mentioned managers and we mentioned the frustration amongst the players. I wish to read you a little quote here from Charlie Montoya. Montoyo, sorry.
I did the same thing too.
Yeah.
Montoyo. I didn't even know it was
So,
Montoyo until this year.
yeah, a lot of fans are the same, man. I'm in that boat. So, Keegan Matheson of MLB TV, who, by the way, will be joining us on Tuesday. So thrilled to have Keegan on the show. But he asked Charlie Montoyo how the Blue Jays are handling these losses. This is the quote from Montoyo. We're having fun. We're working hard. You're the only one who's seen us. But what people need to know, we're working hard, taking ground balls, trying to get better every day, and people are in a good mood. He might as well have asked Charlie, hey, Charlie, do you have anything that would upset this fan base even more that you could add to this? I'm like, how did he think that this was the right thing to say? Like,
And we're having fun. Yeah.
listen, I understand the reason Charlie Montoyo was hired was because he was a level-headed, even-keeled guy. You're not going to see huge flip-outs when they're losing. You're not going to see massive celebrations when they're winning. However, I do think that maybe a little media training should happen for this man. Like, I don't even understand that response, right? Like,
Yeah.
show the fans you're as frustrated as we are, please. Just for our, I know it doesn't, it's like we talked about on the live stream yesterday, right? That when the foul tip from Lourdes happened, and it was called a foul tip, but it obviously missed the bat, and it wound up costing the Blue Jays the game. It wouldn't have done him any good to flip out and go and kick dirt on the umpire and get kicked out and flip out and have a big hissy fit. But dear Lord, as a fan, I sure would like to seen that, you know? You know, old Gibby, and I'm not even a big John Gibbons fan. But, you know, old Gibby would have been out there just yelling and hollering and screaming. I feel kind of the same way about that. Can you show that you're a little frustrated here? Because my goodness, as a fan, I'm about ready to lose my mind. Like,
Yeah. When we when we see that at least you're frustrated, like at least we know that you're not just like content with sucking. Right? Like,
and we know he's not, right? Like, obviously, he's a major league manager. He's not happy with losing. That's not what we're saying.
you just want to see a little bit of Boba Fett at the water bottles out of these guys, right? Like,
please.
I know, we kind of rode on, well, I know I did, was riding on Vladdy last year when he was playing first base, and he'd make some kind of simple errors, or there'd be a lazy pop-up in foul territory, and he'd kind of misplay it, and it would just drop in what should have been an easy out, and he just kind of, like, brushed it off, and was like, whatever, like, no big deal, and, like, I know you don't want a guy to really beat up on himself when they make a mistake, but you also don't want them to, like, not give a shit.
Right? Yeah, right? Exactly.
So
it shouldn't just roll off your back.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's definitely a happy medium in there between Ross Stripling and whatever we're seeing out of Montoyo.
Now, there's a lot of people calling for Montoyo's head, so I figured it would be fun to chat. Well, if he does get axed, who do you wish to see as manager of this Toronto Blue Jays squad?
Well, this is kind of the Kevin Biggio at third base predicament, right? Like, yeah, it's not the best guy in the league at third base, but not really a bunch of options available. And that's kind of where I feel like we're at with Montoyo.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the upgrade that's just sitting at home waiting for a phone call?
I agree, man. And I think everyone who is thinking that his job is in danger right now doesn't know this front office.
No.
His job is completely safe. Yeah. There's no way they fire Charlie Montoyo halfway through this season. Yeah. It's no. They extended him through 2022. There's no way. They might, depending on the evaluation of the team in the offseason, make a move, but not until then.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about it on the live stream, and some names we threw out. Russell Martin. That would be a fun.
That would be a good one.
Possible.
I don't
Canadian
know if he has
boy.
any interest in it, but like you said, Canadian.
Agreed.
Played with the Jays. Was a catcher. Catchers typically have that, head for the game.
Another possibility is a man that we're going to throw to very shortly here, Stubby Clapp, who we interviewed on Tuesday. And obviously that's on our YouTube page right now, so check that out once you're finished here. Stubby Clapp won the PCL Manager of the Year in AAA in 2017 and 2018. He's actually the only third guy in Major League history to have done that in the minor leagues.
Back to back.
He's the first base coach currently for the St. Louis Cardinals. That's a pretty solid option in my opinion. But again, I think this is all speculation and irrelevant currently, so we are going to move on here. But I did just wish to kind of throw it out there and just You know, if we are going to move off Charlie, what are options even out there
You have
currently?
no idea how much I love the idea of Stubby Clapp as our manager. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
especially after sitting down and
Oh,
talking with him,
and
eh?
he's such a proud Canadian. Like,
Oh,
talking, like, listening to him talk about the the. I was getting goosebumps listening to him talk about playing for Team Canada
and
and
going to the
going to
Olympics,
the
it was yeah,
Olympics and everything, and just. Anyways, you guys will really enjoy that conversation. That's one of our best ones yet. So
yeah, agreed. Okay, let's move on to. Did you have anything else to add for the Jays?
no.
Okay, so before we move on to MLB stuff, I did wish to just quickly give everyone a little perspective here so that we can all breathe a little easier and know that, yes, it's bad, but it could always be worse. So there are 6 players currently, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being one of them, who have a higher win above replacement than the entire Arizona Diamondbacks combined. So at least we're not cheering for the Diamondbacks, everybody.
Yeah, could be a Diamondbacks fan.
That's right.
Yikes.
All right, my man. Let's get into the sticky stuff. Obviously, they are clamping down on this situation. As of June 21st, they will start handing out 10-game suspensions to any pitcher caught with anything on the ball. Sunscreen is now illegal, pine tar. The only thing that you can use is rosin.
But not too
There
much, and don't mix
are
it with sweat.
Don't mix it with sweat. Yeah, like this is the thing. For those of you out there who have yet to see Trevor Bauer's response to this, whether you love him or hate him, all right, you should take a listen to his rant because he brings up a lot of really good points. So he starts his interview off with a baseball and he has it attached to his hand like this. And he's like, "What do you think that is?" Just closes it, opens it. Like, "What do you think it is? Tell me." Right? Is it spider tack? Is it this? And he teased it for a day or two, and then he comes out on national television in an interview and actually shows that it's sweat and rosin. And he's like, "So, are you going to tell me, am I going to get suspended for that? Do I need to clean my hands every single time that I go out to the mound? How strict is too strict?"
Yeah.
He's like, so he goes on this. It's actually very well thought out. Trevor Bauer is no idiot. He's an intelligent guy. Again,
Very.
whether you like him or not, well spoken and presented all the problems with the way Major League Baseball has gone about this. Now, to even add insult to injury with how Major League Baseball has handled this, Tyler Glasnow, one of the top pitchers in all of baseball, the ace for the Tampa Bay Rays, wound up with an injury. And he literally came out in a press conference and said that it was because he's gripping the ball harder than he used to because he's no longer allowed to cheat. And it's why he's got injured, which is very possible. I'm not saying that that's not the case. And in fact, I'm even sort of on the side of the pitchers here where I'm like, you could have done this rule a lot better, figured it out in the off season, given guys a chance to kind of figure it out. Now, I know the other side, Adam. Adam's laughing right now. The other side is, well, maybe you should have been cheating this whole time,
Yeah.
which is a good point.
It's like if your wife catches you cheating and you're like, I've been cheating for years. What do you mean? I thought you just didn't care. I don't know. I've
Yeah.
I have sympathy, but I feel guilty about having sympathy. I guess it's such a weird place to be in. Like,
Well, we've ranted about this a few times now, Adam, where and I think we're both kind of on the same page with this that there's a major difference between sunscreen and rosin and super glue style stuff
with
that you
boiled
can
down
hang a
Coke.
cinder block off your hand from,
Yeah.
right? Like so I'm not sure why. And this is where the old school guys are speaking up so much and they're like, "We've been using sunscreen and rosin since the beginning of baseball."
Mm-hmm.
I know it's been illegal this whole time, but if it is just being enforced right now for optics, which is all Major League Baseball is doing. This
Mm-hmm.
is all about the optics. This has nothing to do with baseball truly trying to eliminate cheating from the game. In fact, Ryan Spader He's an MLB analyst. If you have Twitter, you should just Google or just search his name, Ryan Spader, because he goes out and he just starts listing all of these things that have happened throughout baseball over the last 6-7 years where people have cheated. Now, it's all hearsay. A lot of it is stuff we've already heard before, but he makes a very good point that Major League Baseball doesn't give two shits about cheating. They care about how they look and the fact that they have a scapegoat.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why they've outlawed everything with this. Is they're like, well, the pitchers have, like, how could the pitchers do this to the game? The integrity of the game. Rewind to friggin' 3 years ago, and they're like, oh, sign stealing. How could the Astros do this to the game? The game, right? And it's like, well, this is one of the things this Spader came out and said. He's like, the Royals were the first one to cheat. He's like, I've got proof they cheated in the Blue Jays series in 2015 of the ALCS.
Mm-hmm.
Again, hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
But we all know that sign stealing wasn't just the Houston Astros. Come on.
Yeah.
Right? But what baseball constantly does is as soon as there's a blow up, as soon as the spotlight is on an instance, they find a way to blame somebody. Right? It's like why Bubba Harkins in Anaheim.
Yeah.
Their clubhouse guy got fired to try and sweep this under the rug before they even decided they were going to crack down and actually enforce the rules. Their rules.
The thing with all of this is that, like, baseball as a sport loves the gray area.
Oh, don't they?
Sign stealing is totally fine as long as you're not using technology, right? Like, if you got a runner on second and he can see the catcher's hands and he can relay it, awesome. It's encouraged, right? The catcher should have a better system of communicating, whatever, right? So that
100%.
is fine and encouraged.
Yeah.
But if you have a smartphone and a TV setup, that's too far. And it's the same thing with sticky substances. It's like, well, rosin is fine, and this and that is fine, but as soon as you boil down Coke and add some ground up whatever to it, like, there's like, whoa, this is too much. But I don't know.
Muscle supplements.
Yeah, no.
Like, literally.
We were talking about this last night.
It's the exact same thing. It's like, this steroid's illegal, this steroid's okay. This sticky stuff is illegal, this sticky stuff is okay. You can steal this way, but you can't. It is. And that is a great way of explaining it, Adam, is baseball is a sport that lives in the gray area. And as soon as it gets too gray, they're like, oh, we've been in the white area the whole time. We're good guys. Yeah. How could Houston do this to us, right? Like, come on.
You're even seeing it now with, like, the strike zone is a perfect example of the gray area. It's like forever. Every ump has had their own strike zone. Like, sure, it is what it is in the rules, but they're going to call their own strike zones. Some call them lower, some call them taller, some call them really tight, some call them a little bit more outside or inside or whatever. And as long as it's consistent for both teams, who cares? But now it's becoming unacceptable, and we need robot umps, and it's too much in this gray area. Like, the ambiguity of the strike zone is this sacred thing, and Angel Hernandez needs to be retired, or like, I don't know.
Maybe we should change more rules. Maybe that'll fix it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Make the bases a little bit bigger, and we'll be fine.
6-inning doubleheaders. We need 6-inning doubleheaders.
Jays would love that. We'd win. We'd be undefeated this year.
If we could play 6-inning games, the Blue Jays would be the best team in baseball, hands down.
Exactly.
All right, my man. I think we'll leave it at there unless you have anything to add or anything on your mind.
No, I did just want to touch on quickly on the Fernando Tatis headline that I read the other day. So Fernando Tatis is playing in Colorado, and I see the headline on MLB.com. Fernando Tatis Jr. absolutely crushes 477-foot bomb. And then I go to watch the replay of it, and it was like the 10th row of left center field. Like, I looked into this, and it's like the outfield wall is, I think, 390 feet.
For those listening, by the way, Adam texted me all of this. He started he sent me where the ball landed. He's got a circle on it and then a circle on how far the fence is. And he's like, it's 10 rows back.
I
How is
was
this 477 feet?
I was so annoyed because like 477, especially like it's in all capitals. Like I'm expecting something that like left the stadium and hit the freeway, right? Like landed in another state. But yeah, the furthest point of the outfield wall, like to right center field, is 415, and it was shallower than like it was in a shallower part of the field than that.
Mm-hmm.
So even if we say 410, and then it was 10 rows where like 10 rows back is where it landed, but we're gonna spot them 67 feet for those 10 rows. That's 6.5 feet per row.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you don't get that much leg room on a bus. Anyways, I'm just worked up because like I don't know where they're getting this from.
Yeah. It's like Fernando Tatis Jr.
He doesn't
has
need more hype. He's got 22 home runs and has missed 20 games.
Yeah. And he's tied with Vladdy with 22 home runs.
And he's
played,
missed a third of the
52
season.
games?
Yeah.
It's wild.
We don't need to overhype this kid. But like they just made it seem like it was an absolute moonshot that nobody had seen in 45 years. And it was like, oh, this is just a 10th row shot out to center field. Like,
yeah,
I feel like I see that every single game.
I loved how worked up you were. Like the pictures you sent with the circle as to where the ball landed, and you were just like, how?
Yeah, I was pretty worked up in the moment. I'm a little more calmed down now, but yeah. I was pretty triggered by that. So, all right.
All right. Well, let's end it there. Thank you so much, everybody who has become a member of the walk-off community. Honestly, we cannot express to you how appreciative we are to have you on board. We ran our live stream last night because we had troubles on Tuesday. We normally run the live stream every single Tuesday, and we have our regulars and stuff to stop in. We had over like 60 or 70 viewers at times. Mm-hmm. Everyone's so active in the chat. Everyone is just like, and it's the same people, and we'll get a few new ones every time, and then they're back the next week, and it's just very, very cool. You can check us out on Instagram, the Walk Off Podcast. Again, Adam and I, we're giving away a Jays jersey. All you need to do is go to our Instagram account, follow us, like the photo, tag a Blue Jays fan, and subscribe on the YouTube page. And we do the draw for that at the All-Star break. Follow us on Twitter at Walk Off Podcast, on YouTube, the Walk Off Podcast, and of course, any subscriptions to both the Apple, Spotify audio side of the podcast and, of course, on YouTube is greatly appreciated. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Enjoy Stubby Clap. It's a heck of an interview.